Hello viewers, how are you? Welcome to my channel Physics with Rans. So today we are going to discuss about laws of motion. So let's see some basic definitions regarding these laws of motion. The first one is uniform motion. Here come to the case, uniform motion is nothing but when a body changes its position without changing velocity, then we can represent it as uniform motion. Means as the body moves from one place to another place without change in its velocity, then we can represent it as a uniform motion. Whereas a non-uniform motion, as the body changes its position by the change of velocity, then we can represent it as a non-uniform motion. In this case, we can represent that velocity is not equals to constant. So here we consider acceleration. So once again, in the case of uniform motion, velocity is constant, whereas in the case of non-uniform motion, we consider that velocity not constant, so we consider acceleration. Means we are going to consider velocity as well as acceleration. Now let's see the definition of Galileo. Galileo is the first person who had explained about this non-uniform motion. Come to the case, according to Galileo, in order to change the velocity of the body, external force is required. External force has to be applied on the body in order to change the velocity of the body. That is being explained by Galileo. Later on, Aristotle had explained that in order to continue the uniform motion of the body, continuously external force should act on the body. External force should act on the body. That is being explained by Aristotle. Later on, this Aristotle fallacy has been failed and it has been proved wrong. That represents this. Now based on this, later on Newton had given laws known as Newton's laws of motion. Now we are going to discuss this Newton's laws of motion. Now we are going to discuss about inertia. What is this inertia means? Inertia is nothing but a resistance to change the position of the body is known as inertia. Resistance to change the position of the body is known as inertia. Whereas let's see the definition of inertia. The inability of a body to change its state of rest or uniform motion or direction on its own. Means according to this definition, we can represent that any body, it cannot change its position of rest or position of uniform motion or direction on its own without applying the external force. On applying the external force itself, the body can change its position. Means let us consider a body of mass m which is on the floor. Now we have to change the position of the body. Means I have to change the state of this body. Since initially it is at rest position, I have to move this body. So on applying the force, the position of the body changes. Means here we are applying external force on the body. As the external force acts on the body, the position of the body changes. That represents inertia. Commonly here inertia can be represented based on mass. As the mass increases, inertia increases. Means measurement of inertia is being given based on the mass. Let us consider a lorry and a car. So as we consider a lorry and a car, here the mass of the lorry is greater than the mass of the car. So based on that, we can represent that inertia of the lorry is greater than the inertia of the car. That's why, so here as you try to pull the lorry as well as car, the lorry will not move easily as compared to car. That represents the case of inertia. Now this inertia is classified into three types. The first one is inertia of rest, and second one is inertia of motion, and the third one is inertia of direction. Inertia of direction. So let's see the first case, inertia of rest. The inability of a body to change its state of rest represents inertia of rest. Let's see an example which we are familiar. Here let us consider that a person is standing in a bus and the bus is initially at rest position. As it moves, the person will lean backward like this. Why? Because as the bus moves up to the half of the body, it tries to move with respect to bus, whereas the upper part will try to remain in the rest position itself. We experience of leaning backward, that represents inertia of rest. Next one is inertia of motion, whereas the inability of a body in order to change the state of uniform motion represents inertia of motion. So let's see the same example of bus. As the person is moving in a bus with a uniform velocity, as the brakes are being applied, means here the bus comes to rest position. Since the bus comes to rest position, the legs up to this part, the body comes to rest position, whereas the upper part will continue in the uniform motion. That's why we experience the force in the upward direction, means we experience a pull in the forward direction as we move in the bus. That represents inertia of motion. Whereas inertia of direction, come to the case of this inertia of direction, as the vehicle moves on a curved path, as the vehicle moves on the curved path, the person in the vehicle experiences the tangential movement, means will lean sidewards. The person leans sidewards due to this inertia of direction. That represents inertia of direction. So here we had represented what is inertia, and we had seen what is meant by inertia of rest, motion, as well as direction. So now based on this inertia, we are going to discuss about Newton's first law. Take a screenshot, we will continue. Now we are going to discuss about Newton's first law. Of the definition of this Newton's first law: every body continues to be in the same state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled by some external force. So here, if we consider that a body is at rest position, it continues to be in the same state until it is expelled by some external force. Whereas if a body is in moving position, it changes its state when external force acts on the body in opposite direction. That represents this Newton's first law. Whereas this Newton's first law represents the concept of inertia as well as force, whereas it enables to define this inertia as well as force. If we consider that the acceleration acting on the body is equals to 0, then we can represent that the external force acting on the body is 0. Means if no external force acts on the body, then acceleration acting on the body is equals to 0 is being considered. Then based on that, we can represent that either the body is moving with a uniform velocity or it is at rest position. Whereas here the force is considered as a physical quantity. Why? Because we are discussing the topic based on the force. Based on that, we can represent that force is a physical quantity. It represents the change of state of rest or uniform motion or direction. So take a screenshot, we will continue. Now we are going to discuss about linear momentum. Let us consider that initially a body is at this position. A body of mass m is at this position. So here, as the body changes its position from this place to this place, so the body has changed its position from A to B, then we can represent the linear momentum. Observe the definition. It is defined as the product of mass and velocity when the body moves along a straight line. That represents the linear momentum. So here observe that we had represented the body is changing its position. Now the linear momentum is being represented by P, where P is equals to product of mass and velocity, m into v. Means if a body possesses a velocity, then we can represent it as a momentum. P is equals to mv. Based on this, now we can give the units for this momentum. The unit for momentum is given as kg meter per second in SI system, whereas in CGS system it can be represented as gram centimeter per second in CGS system, whereas the dimensional formula is m l t to the power of minus 1. So this represents the dimensional formula for linear momentum. Whereas observe that initially if we consider a body with a velocity u, and the velocity has been changed to v as it changes its position, means when the body is at b, its velocity is v, then the change in the momentum is given as delta p is equals to m into change in the velocity v minus u. Based on that, we can represent it as mv minus mu. Delta p equals to mv minus mu. So as you observe that we had represented that momentum p is equals to mv, and here we had represented that delta p equals to m into v minus u. As you observe that the direction of momentum as well as the change in the momentum will be same, means if the body is moving along this direction, the momentum as well as the change in the momentum will be along this direction itself, will be along the same direction. Take a screenshot, we will continue. Now we are going to discuss about Newton's second law of motion. Come to the case of this, observe the definition. The rate of change of momentum of a body is directly proportional to the net external force acting on the body and takes place in the direction in which the force acts. Means here if we consider a body, here the external force acting on the body will take place in the direction in which the force acts. Means as the body moves in a particular direction, the net external force also acts in the same direction. Now here based on this definition we can represent that force is directly proportional to rate of change of momentum. So in order to remove this proportionality, we should add a constant, and we consider this constant as k into dp by dt. So here this constant is considered as 1. In any case, the value of k is considered as 1. Then we can represent that f is equals to dp by dt. As we had seen in the previous topic, linear momentum p is given as mv. So if we substitute here, we have f equals to d by dt of mv. As the mass remains constant, here we can represent that with respect to time, velocity changes. Then we can represent that m into dv by dt. So here rate of change of velocity is nothing but acceleration. So we can represent that a is equals to dv by dt. So if we substitute here, we get f is equals to ma. This represents Newton's second law. So based on this law, we can say that here we can define the force as well as we can represent the unit of force based on this second law, as well as we can also derive the first law as well as third law from this second law. Now here based on this, let us represent the units of this second law. In the case of a SI system, the unit is given as Newton, because Newton is the person who had explained about Newton's law. So then we can represent it as Newton SI system, whereas CGS unit is dyne, where 1 Newton is equals to 10 to the power of 5 dynes. 1 Newton is equals to 10 to the power of 5 dynes, whereas its dimensional formula is f is equals to ma. So we can represent it as ml t to the power of minus 2. This represents the dimensional formula for force. Let's see the gravitational units for this force, where 1 kg weight is equals to 9.8 Newton, whereas 1 gram weight is equals to 980 dynes. So this represents gravitational units for force. Let us see some points regarding this Newton's second law of motion. Come to the case here, if we consider that the external force acting on the body is equals to 0, then we can represent that the acceleration acting on the body is 0. Then we can represent that the second law is constant, nothing but it is similar to that of first law. If we consider a single particle which is being represented based on x, y and z axis. So here the force is acting along the three-dimensional axis. Then here, as we consider a small particle, the force acting along the x-axis is represented as f suffix x, and force acting along the y-axis is f suffix y, and the force acting along the z-axis is f suffix z. Then the force acting along the x-axis is given as f suffix x equals to m into a suffix x. Whereas along the y-axis it is given as m into a suffix y, and along the z-axis is given as m into a suffix z. So this represents the force along x, y and z axis when it is acting on a single particle. Whereas observe the third point, if F is equals to ma, then we can represent that the force is acting on a single particle, single point particle or a rigid body. Means we can consider a single point particle, or we can also consider a rigid body, which is nothing but a group of particles or nothing but system of particles. Whereas second law is a local law. Why? Because if we consider a body, and here if we consider that the force is acting at this position, then we can represent the movement of the body at this position itself. That means we can apply the second law to this point itself. That's why it is considered as a local law. Whereas in the case of a representation of second law, we don't consider the internal forces. We neglect the internal forces. By neglecting the internal forces itself, we represent the net force. This represents the second law. Take a screenshot. We will continue. Now we are going to discuss about impulse. Observe the definition of impulse. The product of force and time that produces a finite change in momentum of the body is called as a impulse, where impulse is represented by I or J. We can represent it with anything. So here I am going to consider it as I, whereas I is equals to F into delta T. Force acting on the body in a short interval of time represents a impulse. So here it is also can be represented as a change in the momentum, delta P. It is given as m into v minus u. We can be derived from this equation. Observe that F is equals to ma, where ma can be represented as delta v by delta t into delta t. So here delta t gets cancelled. So here we have m into delta v, where delta v can be represented as m into v minus u, which is equals to delta p. Delta p, nothing but impulse equals to change in momentum, whereas the unit for impulse is given as Newton second or kg meter per second in SI system, whereas in CGS system is dyne second, or we can represent it as gram centimeter per second. Gram centimeter per second. Whereas the dimensional formula for impulse is m L to the power of 1 t to the power of minus 1. This represents the dimensional formula for impulse. Let's see examples regarding this impulse. Already we had discussed that impulse is nothing but a large amount of force acting in a short interval of time represents impulse. So here as you observe the cricket players, they drag their hands in the backward direction so that the time will increase and the force acting on the body will decrease. Suppose if they hold the hands like that, their hands will crack. Fractures will occur in the hands. Due to this reason, in order to reduce the impulse, they increase the time of force acting on the body by dragging their hands in the backward direction. In the same way, China words are being wrapped in a paper so that the force acting on the China words will be reduced due to this paper. Take a screenshot. We will continue. Let's solve a problem. Observe that a body of mass 1 kg. Here the body of the mass is given as m equals to 1 kg. Falls from a height h equals to 20 meter. H equals to 20 meter from the ground level. So here we consider a body at a height of 20 meters from the ground level. So whereas the mass of this body is m is equals to 1 kg. Now observe that first point is what is the magnitude of total change in the momentum of the body before it strikes the ground. So since the body is falling from a particular height h, here we consider the initial velocity of the body is 0 because it is freely falling from a particular height. So now we consider the equation of v square minus u square is equals to 2s, whereas s is equals to h and a is equals to g, and here u is equals to 0 and v is equals to v. As we substitute these values, here we get v square equals to 2gh, then we have v is equals to under root of 2gh. Now we got v is equals to under root of 2gh. Now observe that we have to find change in the momentum, where we know that delta p is equals to m into v minus u. As u is equals to 0, here we have delta p is equals to mv, where v equals to under root of 2gh, where m is equals to 1 into under root of 2 into g is 10 and height is 20. So observe that 2 into 10, 20, 20 into 20 is 400, under root of 400 is equals to 20. So based on that, the change in the momentum is 20 kg meter per second. So now we had derived first option. After the second option, what is the corresponding average force experienced by it? Now we have to represent the corresponding average force. In order to derive that, here observe that force F is equals to delta P by delta T, where delta P equals to m into under root of 2gh, whereas let us consider that change in the time is equals to t, because if we consider initial time as 0, then we can represent that t2 equals to t. So now here change in the time is represented as a t. So let us consider the equation s equals to ut plus half at square. Here a is equals to g and time t is equals to t and s equals to h, as well as we know that u equals to 0. Substitute these values in this equation. Here we get h is equals to half into g t square. From this equation, here we get t is equals to under root of 2h by g. So let us substitute p is equals to m into under root of 2gh and t is equals to under root of 2h by g in this equation. So here we get f is equals to m into under root of 2gh by under root of 2h by g. 2h by g. So I'm going to write inside and observe that this g comes upwards. So here we have m into under root of 2g square h by 2h. H gets cancelled and 2 gets cancelled, and we know that under root of g square is g. So here we get f is equals to f external equals to mg. So the external force acting on the body due to its weight is f equals to mg. Take a screenshot. We will continue. The next question is, a bullet is fired from gun. So here let us consider a gun. The bullet has been fired from the gun. The force acting on this bullet is F equals 600 minus 2 into 10 to the power of 5 T Newton. So here the force acting on the bullet has been represented as 600 minus 2 into 10 to the power of 5 T Newton. If the force reduces to 0 just when the bullet leaves the barrel. As the bullet leaves this barrel, the force has been reduced to 0. find the impulse imparted to bullet. Now we have to represent the impulse. So in order to find this, let us find the time taken by the bullet in order to leave this barrel. So for this, he had given that a force is equals to 0. So if we substitute F equals to 0, then here we get a 0 equals to 600 minus 2 into 10 to the power of 5 t. So based on that, here we can represent that 600 is equals to 2 into 10 to the power of 5 t. So t is equals to 600 by 2 into 10 to the power of 5. So we know that 2 3 is 6. So we have 300 by 10 to the power of 5. Then here we get 300 into 10 to the power of minus 5. This is the time taken by the bullet in order to leave the barrel. Now we had represented time. So now again based on this time we have to represent the impulse, where we know that impulse I is equals to force into time, which is represented as F into dt, integration of F into dt, where F is equals to 600 minus 2 into 10 to the power of 5 t into dt. On integrating this equation, here we get 600 into integration of dt is t minus 2 into 10 to the power of 5 into integration of t into dt, nothing but t square by 2. T square by 2. So here observe that 2 gets cancelled. So here we have 600 t minus t square into 10 to the power of 5, where t is equals to 3 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So based on that, here we can represent it as 600 into 3 into 10 to the power of minus 3 minus 3 into 10 to the power of minus 3 whole square, nothing but 9 into 10 to the power of minus 6 into 10 to the power of 5. So based on that, we can represent it as 6 3 is 18, 18 into 10 to the power of minus 1, because plus 2 minus 3, nothing but minus 1, minus 9 into minus 6 plus 5, nothing but minus 1. So here observe that if we take 10 to the power of minus 1 as common, then we have 18 minus 9 into 10 to the power of minus 1, nothing but 9 into 10 to the power of minus 1, which is equals 0.9 Newton meter. This represents impulse imparted on the bullet. Take a screenshot. I hope that you had enjoyed my video. Please give a like to this video, share this video to your friends, and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.